do to support the Free State Project. So now that we've got you back, if there was one thing, what's that? Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. It's gonna be shitty again.
Oh yeah, that's not working. Just call back, Carla, by phone. Call back on our call-in line. Send me or Derek a text with your area code, and we'll pull you up at 11:30. We got another guest coming on at 10:30 and 11. And we're going to get Carla back on, because we do want to talk about the Free State Project. Derek is
I apologize to Carla, because I was just doing a sound check with her, and it sounded great. So
yeah.
Sorry that didn't work out, just some Skype problems, and we'll get you better next time.
So people can know this, when we do Skype callers and they want to come in and flash us, they can yell at us with horrible audio while we can still see them flashing us. But that's not coming until next year. When we're also going to start the podcast every day with the 5-minute newscast. It's just going to be like the radio, playing the news at the top of the hour. All professional and shit. Yep. All right, 302, you're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Adam, it's Josh.
Hey, what's up, Josh?
From Virginia.
Josh from
Virginia. I did a
Virginia.
report on the whole subject of the gun shooting subject. Back in 96, I did a report. No, 98, for a high school class, law class. Did some digging around in some libraries and came up with some interesting facts I thought I would share with you guys.
Please do.
All right. Well, apparently in the late 80s, early 90s, the government did a study in 5 different cities across the United States, and they made it a law that every home had to own and maintain with ammunition a firearm. Now, a lot of people started screaming and hollering about this, it's against their free choice, and it's against. Some people said it's against their religion or whatever, and they said you keep it locked up, in the garage or in your attic. Doesn't matter where you keep it. You have to do it.
Where was this?
I could actually find out again for you. I don't remember any of the cities by heart. I know one was in Florida.
Yeah.
There were 5 different cities across the United States they did this in.
Right,
What had happened is supposed to be a 5-year study.
Yeah, but every time that I saw one of these, and you mentioned Kennesaw, Georgia, I think that's the one I was reading about, there was always a provision to opt out. It wasn't like, this is the thing about so many government regulations people don't realize, that there are, there are ways out of them. Like, they're not, I mean, I hate to be, taking the side of government here, because I'm not, but in the case of requiring people to own guns in their homes, every time that was the case that I saw, there was an option. Like, you could say, it's against my religion, I'm mentally incapable, I'm financially
If there was an option to do that,
yeah.
if there was an option to do that, I was in high school, I didn't do enough research. So, I mean, that is a possibility. But what I was going to point out was that apparently a lot of the studies were cut short because the police departments had to lay off so many people. And there were cases, many cases where people just, were solving crimes themselves. For example, I remember one of the cases was a armed convenience store robbery, and the guy came out of the convenience store, and there were 4 people in the parking lot pointing gun at him.
There you go.
Things like that. Something else that I came across is there were a lot of apparent, Columbine happened when you and I were in high school, and there were a lot of other shootings in high school that were happening that weren't in the news. And the difference was the ones that had happy endings weren't in the news. Now, this wasn't written down anywhere. This is just what I gathered from all the research I did on the Thesis paper. I gathered that the news doesn't want anyone to have guns, so they only report on the bad ones. That way, if they get what they want, no one has guns, there will be more crime, they'll have more news reports. That's my opinion. Because there were things just the same time as Columbine. A kid walked into a prom with a shotgun, killed 2 or 3 people. The shotgun jammed. He went outside, stepped back out the door to try to fix it, and the teacher shot him dead. Basically, he would have killed a lot more people if the teacher apparently was packed. Mm-hmm. And things like that happen all the time, apparently, but those stories never make it to the news. They're only local newspapers.
Well, what's also sad in wake of this shooting, one of the things that you have to appreciate is, we hear about this shooting, and everybody's talking about it, and it goes viral as a story, and it's major headlines, and you got to know about it. But you know what? If there were 5 people or 6 people, it wouldn't have gotten past local news. Because shootings like that, I don't want to say...
Or been stopped by a teacher, or by a principal, or by a security guard, someone that...
Well, just
someone
even if
carrying a gun, I don't think the news would cover
national. Again, they do to a lesser extent, but partly because they're, you know, relative success stories of someone being stopped. The body count is lower, and so it doesn't get entered into the national psyche as that shooting in Connecticut.
I think, though, whenever it's at a school, you'll probably have them chiming in on it.
That's
I only
true.
have one other real quick point to make
Whenever
about
you
it.
have that
Do you
sympathetic
remember
victim,
when we were in elementary school, because high schools still had gun clubs, rifle clubs? They did away with them right around the mid-'80s, late '80s. They still had, like, target rifle clubs, where they would do, you know, just like they would have a volleyball team, basketball team, football team, they have a rifle.
Yeah. What
And
the hell
it seems
happened
like
to
when the schools did away with those, kids stopped respecting guns as much, fearing guns as much. They weren't taught about them. They became these mysterious objects. And basically, it was when all the Vietnam veterans started becoming grandparents instead of parents. All of a sudden, you know, all of a sudden, kids started bringing guns to school more, and, you know, oh, I found my daddy's gun, I'm going to bring it to school and shoot up the place. They didn't respect them as much. I noticed an influx of, you know, in school shootings when they stopped doing it. That's just interesting. It might not be connected, but they might be.
No, that's well. I mean, you'd have to look at the demographic, but I think people don't appreciate that. Yeah, there were, I don't know how many Americans served in Vietnam. It was in the millions. You know, and we think of Vietnam as a smaller war next to like World War I and World War II, but in terms of generational impact, you know, it was you know, in terms of being able to affect things at the societal level like that is you know, it had an impact.
and you had an actual anti-war movement then.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah, 1948 to 1994, I believe, were the actual combat times for Ruins or Vietnam.
Yeah, right.
6 people died at Vietnam in '94.
There was no war in Vietnam, according to the government. There were just